become a better leader? I get this question all the time. And to be honest, I get it a lot from men. Most of the time, women don't ask me that. And I have a feeling it's because intuitively they know how to be a better leader. And I'll get to that in a minute. But can I just be real for you for just a minute? The better question is, do you want to be a better father, husband, or partner? Do you want to be able to share and be more connected and create more intimacy in your relationship? That's a better question. And I'll get to why soon. Welcome to the Power of Investing in People podcast. I am the hostess with the mostest, Shā Sparks. As the Chief Excitement Officer of Sparks of Fire International, I'm a certified fearless living coach and trainer, as well as an NLP practitioner. I am known to be an energetic catalyst and fearless communicator. So I am here to help you to be that fearless communicator for you and your family and loved ones and team around you. Over the past several years, my coaching business has shifted from coaching women to coaching more men on how to communicate better and with their loved ones and their team. And I got to tell you, this has really been a humbling experience for me because of my why. Why I do all the things that I do is because of my dad. My dad, and I may get choked up during this. If my dad had had these tools, these skills, these ability to show up differently in the world, he might have been a better father. He might have been a better husband to my mom. And I wish that he had this information so that he could then take action and decide how he wanted to show up as the leader of the house, how he wanted to show up as the leader of our family. Now, don't get me wrong. I loved my dad dearly. And before he passed, he became my best friend in the last 5 years of his life. But before that, we literally only talked about how is the car working? What's the weather up there? And we only lived an hour apart, but that was his favorite topic, was the weather. He had no idea how to relate to me. And not just me, he had no idea how to relate to my brothers. And for most of my life, all I saw him express was anger and being selfish. It wasn't about asking about us. It was all about telling us what was going on with him. And if you're a fan of the show, listening, and I'm sure that you are, and then if you're listening to the first time, you'll have to go back and catch up, that I've been on a healing journey for many, many years. And during my healing journey, one of the things I learned was that I needed to change the way that I spoke to myself so that I could change the way I spoke to others. And the other started with my dad. I changed the way that I spoke to him. And in return, he changed the way he spoke to me. And not just me, he changed the way he spoke to my brothers, to my stepmom, to even my mom, who he had been divorced from for 25 years. And I'll tell you what he learned. He learned how to listen differently. I think that is the major key in leadership today, is learning how to listen. Learning how to listen from a place of not trying to fix, not trying to make it better, not trying to take over and hold somebody accountable, but just allowing that other person to vent. Just acknowledging, like we talked about last episode, acknowledging that that person exists. That is the main key on how to be a better leader. is really learning how to listen from a place where your mind is fully 100% present, focusing on them and what their experience is, and not focused on what it is that you want to say next. How do you want to respond what they're saying? Or maybe you're not even listening to what they're actually saying and you're ticking off the list of all the things you'd rather be doing. I've seen this in families. I have seen this in corporations. I have seen this in the military. It's amazing to me how often, and believe me, all people are guilty of this. It is amazing to me how often we go through life without paying attention to what we're actually thinking. So when someone is communicating a need to us, or someone is just communicating to us, oftentimes we are in overdrive of, oh, what's over there? Or they get distracted, with their own thoughts like, oh, okay, hurry up. Let's get to the point. Rather than listening from a place of understanding and then being able to say, what is it that you would like for me to do? Would you like me to solve this? Would you like me to help you? Would you like me to support you? I know that there are a generation and many generations of people out there in the world who have been labeled as the quote unquote enabled. They've been labeled as enabled, the enabled generation, because we wanted to make sure that they had a better life than the generation before. And what ends up happening is that we take care of, we fix things, we do things so they don't have to suffer, they don't have to go through the consequences that we did. What ends up happening is they don't learn. The only way that we can learn is when we realize we first need to learn. Now, people will say, well, you have to fail forward. And there are those people that say, well, you have to make a mistake. And yes, you're correct. And all of that, you have to fail. You have to make a mistake. And the question isn't, do I beat myself up and talk about what a failure I am and what a mistake I make and how awful I am and how could I be so stupid and incompetent and weak and all of these things that we have typically have said to ourselves. Instead, we come from a place of, what can I learn from this? What do I need to learn from this in order to move forward? What is it that I don't know that I need to learn about this in order to move forward? I'll tell you why that's important. Especially as leaders, one of the things that I know that many of us have taken are assessments or personality tests to figure out, what acronym we are, what we are in the DISC or the 5 voices or the ENFJ, what is that, Myers-Briggs, where we've taken all these things trying to figure us out, or the Enneagram. And that's great. Or the Strength Finders test, which are all great, amazing tests. And I just had this conversation the other day with someone who said, do you focus on your weaknesses or do you focus on your strengths? And I wanted to tell you a story about how I decided to focus on my strengths. Because when I focused on my weaknesses, I learned that they were a weakness for a reason, that I didn't have the energy, I didn't want to focus on them because I didn't like them. I didn't want to improve them. I was okay with them, because we all have to have some sort of weakness so that we can amplify our genius in the strengths that we live. So that's what I learned to work on. And that's what I encourage all leaders to work on, is learning how to amplify your genius. And as a leader, one of your genius roles is to listen. How can you come from a place of learning to listen and ask better questions to who you're listening to instead of fixing their challenge? What if you asked a question that empowered them to think about it differently, or to empower them to take different action than they have taken before? What would happen? Yeah, lots happens. Lives change. World is impacted. Companies change. The bottom dollar is increased. Revenue comes in. When you create a different atmosphere, you create a place of change. You create a place of improvement. So imagine that being a better father and a better partner, a husband in your home life, by asking questions will amplify who you are as a leader in your workplace. Now, I know some of the women that are listening are like, well, Shā, why are you pointing this to the men? And I'm going to say, I'm pointing this to the men for one reason and one reason only. That's who I've been working with. I have more men clients than I have had women clients over the past probably 6 years. And in fact, I just want you to understand the impact that what I did in my own life, the empowerment that I created, that God did through me, however you want to say it, the trainings that I've taken, the things that I've learned, the fearless action that I've taken has shifted me so much so that I am able to help others shift. And I just want to read some things to you. I want to read a couple of reviews, some testimonies, reviews of my podcast and testimonies of clients that this is why I do what I do. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that you, the audience, you're listening to this, you're watching this, that you have a story. You have things that you have learned that by just learning them, they're just sitting there in your brain collecting dust with a book of knowledge written on it. And it's not until you verbalize it out loud, you write it down out loud, or write it down into a book, or you do something with that knowledge, you take inspired, empowered action, then it becomes wisdom. How brilliant is that? Then it becomes wisdom. So I just want to share a couple of things with you. And I'm not saying this to toot my own horn. I'm saying this because this is why I do what I do. This is why I work so diligently and so hard to create programs for people like you who want to improve, who want to be better leaders. One of my clients says, because of our conversation, I'm writing a book about my dad and our relationship. Wow. Thank you. Now, I'm not going to give any names, but just know that these are all from men who have written into me, who have left me messages about my podcast, or they have sent me a message on social media or sent me an email on how my coaching with them helped them. I want to share a couple more coaching testimonies. Says in only 5 minutes, Shā figured out exactly what my issue was. And it would have taken me months of reading books and listening to podcasts to find a solution. Being on a 30-minute call with Shā will save me from wasting weeks of my life on worrying and procrastinating. If you're an entrepreneur like me and need to get out of your own way, Shā is worth every minute and every penny. Thank you. Thank you. This one was, every client is my favorite client, but this one really touched me. From fearful to the idea of entrepreneurship, to being excited about launching my own business and understanding where the fear came from. That's the journey Shā walked me through. She has a gift of being able to gather a holistic sense of you as a person and cannot help but to encourage throughout the process. This summer, as I began the process of retiring from the military, I decided to go through a coaching series with her. The kind of work that excites me doesn't fit the traditional job title. I have sensed that to be excited about work life in the next career chapter means I need to work toward eventually owning my own business. Having experienced how hard it can be on a family when those dreams don't work out as desired in my younger years, have left me unsure if entrepreneurship is something I could do well. Shā's process helped me recognize where those doubts are rooted and to work through them. The time we interacted inspired great confidence that not only can I do this, but that I should do this. Beyond that, Shā brought back to the forefront the importance of prioritizing the things that give me joy, something that is so critical to life. As one who tends to this one chokes me up. As one who tends towards being a workaholic, that's a lesson I'm very much needed. I am very grateful for Shā for what she contributed to my outlook, both personally and professionally, and highly recommend her as an accelerant to your goals. Thank you. Thank you so, so much. And I just want to tell you why it chokes me up about this. Because I am a recovered workaholic. And the thought of having joy and having a space for joy when all you have done is work and work and work, and that work hard gets you to the end of the day is like, or that work harder gets your dream life, is such a fallacy. And we need to have that more work-life balance, if you will. And how can joy show up now? Most of us have put in that 20 years or more, or 30 years of working hard. But when we bring joy, it's a completely different animal. It's a completely different day. It's a completely different life. And when we have joy in our life, then it becomes a completely different world. And I have 2 reviews that, I have an email that someone wrote me about a previous podcast episode. And I'll show you how to leave a message for me so you can do this as well. You can reach out to me and say what really has inspired you by what, or resonated with you from the podcast episodes. Because I don't know if you know this, but I spent 4 years of my podcast literally just interviewing other people, and I would occasionally share some of my story. But this series of Shā Sparks, Relationships, Leadership, and Love, this has really been huge for me to share all of the things that I've been through, all the things that I've done, and not to toot my own horn, but more of an acknowledgement that when you step out of your comfort zone, it's things like this that you're doing the right thing. So this email I received was about a podcast episode that I did just a few weeks ago. And it was from I believe I was afraid from a person. And they said, "It is so crazy how your podcasts continue to speak to me. I am sure many others feel the same way. but they seem to be dressing life situations right at the time I am reeling about challenges in my life. My wife came home from active duty just before Christmas and asked me for a divorce after 20 something years of marriage. We had plenty of rocky times we had worked through, but her reasoning was that she simply didn't love me anymore. So there isn't counseling or working on things or anything to do to fix it. Anyway, listening to your conversation with John Robinson really spoke to me. I appreciate all that you do in your podcast. Thank you. Thank you. And I just want to say, I was referring to a client that I worked with whose wife came home after 20 years of marriage and said, I don't think I ever loved you. And here a listener had went through something very similar. Wow. We never know that when we share our stories, we never know who's going to be impacted. I believe wholeheartedly that when we learn something, it is knowledge, and it's not until we share it that it becomes wisdom. And right after I got this email, I got a review, and I don't know if it's from the same person. If it is, thank you. Thank you so much if you're listening. I so appreciate your listening to this, tuning in, and being brave enough to share what's been going on with you, and for being brave enough to endure what you've been going through. So thank you for doing the work. And this review came in right after this email, and it says, every episode speaks directly to me. They always seem to be written specifically to address life situations I am reeling over at the time, that I need to hear support and understanding. I appreciate what you do, and your wonderful insight is therapeutic. Thank you. Thank you for taking time to listen, to be there, and not just that, to reach out and let me know how it impacted you, how it resonated with you. And I just want to share something that is really important, and I hope all of my listeners, all of my audience feels, is that they feel supported. They feel understanding, like they are understood. They feel like they can belong, like they're connected. Because just like that leader, that is the most important thing that you can do, is listen from a place of understanding. And with all this said, I have a big announcement, because I've been asked to do this, and it's something that I've been putting off for several years, actually, but I've been asked to do it. And so I'm going to do it. I'm going to just let you all know right now. So one of the things that I do is that I coach, and I have a program called Spark Your Alpha. And not just coach one-on-one, but I am launching group coaching for men specifically. And we're going to start on the 1st of April, April 4th. And you will take away some tools and skills and clarity on how to improve your relationships and your leadership. So who was ready to be a better father and husband and leader? Now, I know that there is hopefully there's going to be lots of people inboxing me and going, I want to be a part of this, but I'm only accepting 8 at a time. And the reason why is because there is so much going on in the world that I really want to be able to pour into you, so that you can be able to take these tools and skills and be able to go out and take fearless action for your own life. So I'll be working with 8 at a time for the first group. The second group, I will, we'll see what happens if we add 2 groups. but we'll do it every other week. And we'll go through a couple of months of sessions. And the thing that I love about this is that I know whoever is in that group is going to be able to resonate each other's stories when they share them. We're going to be able to walk away with connections for life. You're going to feel supported and that you have a sense of belonging, that you're not alone. You're not the only one who's ever experienced what you've been through, because just like my client and just like my listener, they've had someone tell them they didn't love them anymore, and how soul crushing that can feel. And you're not alone. You're not the only one who's experienced that. Believe me, I've been there too. So I'm going to just show you, for those of you listeners who are just listening to this, if you would like to go over to my YouTube channel, you can see this video and find out how to do this, or because I'm going to share my screen, or you can go to ShāSparksPodcast.com and follow along. So what I am doing is sharing my screen to ShāSparksPodcast.com. And as you'll see at the top, there is all the bar of home episodes, videos, about, store, reviews, sponsors, rate my show, which side note, feel free to rate my show and send me a review. That would be fantastic. But in the meantime, I want you to look at this right here, contact. So we're going to click on contact, and it's going to go to putting into your name, your email address, and a message. And the reason that this is important is because you're going to reach out to me. And this is how you're going to DM me and tell me that you want to be a part of Spark Your Alpha coaching, group coaching with me. And it is the lives that will be transformed in this, the families that will be transformed, the relationships that will come out differently. I am just so super excited to light them on fire so that they will go out into the world and light the world on fire. So you can always contact me at ShāSparks.com. You can see all my social medias there. You can always connect with me there and send me a message. But for the Sparks of Alpha group coaching, go to ShāSparksPodcast.com, go to the contact bar and send me a message, because I want to work with you. I want to help you. I want to heal you. I want to make you not just better leaders, but better husbands and better fathers. So on until next time, let's get fired up.